We continue our journey in the isolated queen-pawn structures because we want to try to understand more. So we understood from this book that it's very important to try to push it and make it a pass pawn. Of course, it will be interesting to see if the author of the book will put some examples relative to how actually you stop it and prevent it from becoming a pass pawn, right? Okay, Smyslov-Karpov. This is the championship of the USSR. It was played in Leningrad, 1971, and this is an English opening. So in that time, Karpov was still not world champion. He was going to become a challenger in the next cycle. C4, C5, knight F3, knight F6, knight C3, D5. Obviously, the author of this book doesn't put much comments in the opening because that's not the goal of the book. The goal of the book is to teach you how to deal with some pawn structures, okay? So C takes D5, knight takes D5, E3, E6, D4, C takes D4, E takes D4, okay? So we have the isolated queen pawn. This time we have a case of an isolated queen or an isolated pawn in the English opening, which many players would rather avoid by playing knight takes C3 followed by G6. So he says that practically instead of playing this, they would avoid it playing knight takes C3 and G6, probably with the idea of bishop G7, okay? As a matter of fact, we have transposed into the Caro-Kann pan of attack. And to tell you the truth, Karpov was one of the specialists of the Caro-Kann, right? Because he played the Caro-Kann for a while. I think he wrote a book about how to play the Caro-Kann. He also wrote a book about how to play the English, honestly. So he wrote few openings books, obviously. They were all technical, a lot of variation, a lot of evaluation, but you never know if it's true or not, because would really a champion of the caliber of Karpov give you his homework? I don't think so, right? Okay, so after E takes D4, bishop E7, bishop D3, castle, castle. Let's remember that Smyslov, the white player, was a world champion, so someone clearly very strong. Knight C6, rook E1, knight F6. And here it says a frequent alternative here has been bishop F6. There is not much logic in the retreat from the center, since white's next move towards the plan knight B4, which would impose full control on the isolated pawn. So he played knight F6. So why he plays knight F6? Because the idea probably is this and this. You want to keep control of the square in front of the isolated pawn. That I remember. Now let's see what this author can teach us. A3. There is an additional meaning behind this move. It makes possible the standard maneuver bishop C2 and queen D3. Of course, if there wasn't this is a problem, right? And so you cannot give a real checkmate. So obviously this move that seems a waste of a tempo, it's very important in this position. And this is the thing, because sometimes they tell you, no, don't move the pawns uselessly. Well, in some cases you need to move them, right? b6, bishop c2, bishop b7. As you can see, black wants to control d5, right? Queen d3 and rook c8. Now, would you believe that this move has been marked as a mistake? Huh? That's kind of really interesting. Okay, it says, it is somewhat strange that these two great players, Smyslov, former world champion, Karpov, a guy that was playing chess 24 hours a day from when he was little, and obviously going to the world championship. So it says, it is somewhat strange that these two great players only notice the consequences of this error in analysis afterwards. Now, so early in the game, the decisive breakthrough in the center was possible. So that's why this is a mistake, because in this moment, white could play d5. Then, if black plays e takes d5, this is punished by bishop g6, g5. Black needs, why bishop g5? Because if it takes this, queen takes h7, checkmate, right? So black needs to play this, g6. But then there is a problem, right? Can you see, so pause the video, can you see what is white's next move? Can you see what is white's next move? I think I know it. And next move is this. Boom! Amazing, right? Now, if you play this, not so good, right? Especially if someone play this. So, if you play that, you have lost it, right? So the game is kind of lost. So that's very interesting. This thing was very, very interesting and amazing that obviously it was missed by Karpov and this other great player that was Smyslov, right? So let's see if I can put the position back to what it was. I think it was like this, yeah. And so rook c8 is a mistake because in this moment, in this particular moment, white can play d5. And why you want to play d5? Not only for the idea of the pass pawn, but because you want actually to get rid of the isolated queen pawn, which can become a weakness in the endgame, right? Okay, so let's see what Smyslov played, because Smyslov didn't play d5, so that's kind of interesting, right? He played bishop g5. Wow, wow. G6, rook a d1, knight d5, bishop h6, rook e8, bishop e4, and a6. So here there is an analysis by the author that says that this move is very risky, and he explains why. So after a6 there is knight takes d5, queen takes d5 is a dubious move. It was better to play this move. But the problem is why he played this, because the idea is that you can give checkmate on g2, right? And sometimes it happens that you forget something and boom, especially in blitz, right? But now let's see how the game continue. Queen e3, and now bishop f6. That is a serious mistake. As you can see, black is piling up on the isolated queen pawn, and that's why he played this. Instead, it seems that another world champion proposed to play queen h5, while Korchnoi, one of the contenders, proposed this move at this point. So everybody was analyzing these top players' games, so that's important. So why bishop f6 is a mistake? He didn't really tell us, but I guess we will see it in a few moves, right? Bishop b3, queen h5. It seems that also queen d8 wasn't so good for black. And can you see what white will play now? So guys, this is the meaning of watching this book review and eventually gain out something of it. But at a certain point, you need to think with your head. Consider this a real tournament game. You are white. You need to decide what is the next move for white. Okay? Okay, so I hope you pause and you gave at least 5 minutes thought. Next move is d5. Boom. Now, again, why black cannot take? Because if it takes, you take, takes, and this is checkmate, right? So black cannot take on d5. What does he play now? He plays knight d8. But again, the author likes to use this word metamorphosis, which is what we say when butterfly changes from a caterpillar to a silk thing that I don't remember the name, to a butterfly. So metamorphosis, right? And a change. So this pawn was an isolated queen pawn here. Now he has been pushed, but now it's pushed again, right? So the metamorphosis is that this pawn now is a pass pawn. It's not anymore just the weak, isolated queen pawn that was being attacked by black. Now is a huge problem for black. Let's see how now the game honestly finished in just 7 moves. So it's amazing, right? This was the Karpov that should have defeated the Fischer. Yeah. Rook c5, d7, rook e7, queen f4, bishop g7, queen b8, queen takes h6, rook takes d8, sorry, not rook, queen takes d8, bishop f8, rook e3, bishop c6, and now, oh my god, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. Queen takes f8, boom. Queen takes f8. Ta-da! Give me a queen. Thank you. And here Karpov resigned. And the author writes, such a crushing defeat must have left a strong impression on Karpov. However, a couple of years later, he was again to find himself suffering. With the isolated pawn, one can never be cautious enough. So, as you can see, the next game that the author shows is Portish Karpov from Milan 1975, a tournament that I have even a book about it. And as you can see, in 1975 Karpov was already world champion. So we will watch this game next, and please consider to get this book, because it's really a beautiful book that is teaching us a lot through these instructive games.